Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Road to Grandmaster series. This is my third tournament back in action, and this is the final round here in Spilimbergo, Italy. It's been an up and down tournament, but I have played around my level. I'm down about 6.6 points, which I guess rounds up to 7. But I have a very exciting game to show you. Very happy because the tournament ended with a bang. In the ninth round, I played against Alberto David, who's an Italian grandmaster. Actually, he's technically from Luxembourg. He's Luxembourg's first ever grandmaster. And he's been playing for Italy for about 10 years. He's multiple-time Italian champion. He's won many tournaments. And I actually knew of him before the tournament because in one of my lessons with Arturs Nekshans, who's my coach, he told me about Alberto. He told me that he's a great player, really nice guy, very positional, very technical. And lo and behold, I get paired against him in the ninth round. I was really looking forward to this game because he likes to play interesting chess. He's in his 50s, so he's not playing to protect his elo. He's not playing, like any of that stuff. He's 2507, and I was ready for a fight. And a fight it was. And I'm so happy. And I'm recording this recap, and it's not even morning yet in New York. I mean, it is. It's very early, so I haven't even been able to talk to my wife because this was a morning round in Italy. So it was 9 a.m. here, and it started at 3 a.m. You may also be wondering why you have a new angle. It's because I'm an idiot, and I forgot to charge my camera overnight, so it's plugged into the wall over there. So you get this angle of me. Maybe it's the better angle. So going into this game, I was going to play the English. That is because Alberto plays, he plays either Caro-Kann or Sicilian. I mean, if I knew he was going to play Caro-Kann, I would probably play, I would probably play E4, but I don't have a high-level repertoire against the Sicilian. So I played C4. The reason I played C4 is because I was expecting E5, and it would have been a very dynamic reverse Sicilian game with, obviously like, I won a nice game in the last tournament, but that doesn't mean anything. But he surprised me on the first move, which I was a little bit annoyed about because I skipped a little bit of breakfast. I only had a little bit of food and I prepared, extra hard for the game. He went B6. And I was like, oh my God. And you'll remember in Madrid, I was really annoyed because one of my opponents probably was going to play C4, B6. And the thing about C4, B6, and earlier in the tournament, by the way, I had this position, right? In the first round. The thing is, when you play c4, b6 in this move order, I can go d4, and then I never need to move this knight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play e4. Now, what's funny is Alberto is playing the e6, b6 course. I have a course on this opening. I don't think he did that on purpose, but the point is he's playing an opening that's a high-level opening, and I have a course on it, which is 33% off. And I was like, yo, he can't beat me with my own course. Like, that would be, well, actually, I don't know. Maybe it would be a nice selling point. E6. And the point is, if I take the center, he's going to play bishop b4. Here I had a genius idea. And my genius idea was from a vague memory when I was building the Dutch course. Also on Chessly, also 33% off, and the sale ends tonight. So there are these weird lines against this bishop, which modern engines show, where you can play f3. f3. The point is, I never put a pawn on e4. So if he goes bishop b4, what I was going to do is I was just going to take the bishop. I was just going to do this. And then I was going to play either e4 or, honestly, maybe even e3. Like, there are some positions you can even play it slowly. And play like bishop d3, play knight e2, and you just very slowly move all your pawns forward, and it's actually kind of difficult to play with black. But okay, I played f3, and here he spent 18 minutes. 18 minutes. And again, my scouting report of him was he's always going to look for an interesting game. He doesn't shy away from a fight. And he also does get into low time. I mean, like, I've seen his games from this tournament. He's frequently in mutual time. Like, he's never up 40 minutes on the clock. So this was already a nice sign, and he played a really interesting move, a move that I did not expect. I mean, I vaguely saw this move. Some of you may be wondering, what about queen h4? Just g3. There's nothing there. He played e5, which was a shocking move. I was like, what? He's just giving me the pawn, but he's giving me the pawn and he's opening up my diagonal. So my first instinct was, no, don't take the pawn, it's a trap. This also, queen h4 looks like it wins this pawn. Not really. I mean, it does, but then I get a massive amount of development. Bishop d3, knight e2. Okay, maybe not bishop d3, but bishop d2. But then I sat there and I was like, it's a free pawn. And he's going to take minimum 2 moves to win it back. So this was just my very simple general thinking. Like, it's going to take him minimum 2 moves. So I'm going to take. Plus, I want to maintain my time advantage. I'm trying to play faster. Queen h4 now, same problem. I just build a huge center. He played here. And here I had half a thought. I was like, can I just protect my pawn? The reason I didn't go for this is I thought he can just play like d6, for example. And if I take on d6 and he takes with the bishop, and I push all my pawns, but somehow this feels very airy. I can play e5. He can just castle. I'm going to lose. This is really unpleasant. So I thought about f4, but again, I thought for 6 minutes is probably too long here. But I played e4 because that was always my plan. And now I had multiple plans. So first of all, I can play bishop here and then try to quickly castle. Or like bishop here. Like let's say bishop f4, knight g6 I thought was normal. Bishop back to e3 so that he doesn't get to c5. I don't know, here and here. Very complicated game. But I came up with a plan which I thought was very smart, which is use his horse against him and play f4. So I no longer have this, but I'm going to get a bunch of the center, and then I'm just going to play knight f3. So he went knight g6. I spent a lot of time here, like 7 minutes, because I was mostly debating, do I want to play the very natural knight f3, which is a move I would play instantly most of the time, or do I want to start with bishop e3, because then he does not get to put the bishop on c5, and therefore he does not stop me from castling. This was a big moment. I thought bishop b4 was just fine after bishop d3. Wow, take f5. I did not see this, but it just felt like there was no reason to commit the bishop to the knight is going here no matter what. This was my logic. And if he plays bishop c5, I was like, okay, so I won't castle, but he has no pawns out. I don't know. I just thought you can't play chess with only pieces. You need to use pawns. So he played bishop c5. At this point, I realized I have multiple moments where I can play f5. Like, his knight actually is very clumsy. But I thought I wasn't going to rush with f5, which is the top engine move. I don't know if it is on high depth, because I was like, why would I just let him go here? The engine thinks bishop f4, knight f3, and not... Oh, yeah, maybe queen f3, but even gf3, which is not what I was thinking. But, yeah, I don't know. Again, listen, my coach has taught me at this point, if your opponent hasn't done anything horribly wrong in the opening, like, you can't just go take their head off. And I don't know, f5 just was like, well, I haven't developed any pieces. Like, what am I doing? The engine likes it, of course. I thought I came up with a very simple plan here, a3. He spent a long time here again. So he spent about 12 minutes here because I guess he was like, the reason I played a3, right? The reason I played a3 is because I want to play b4, and then I want to push his bishop out, and then I want to play bishop d3, and then I want to move my bishop somewhere and castle, and I just have everything. And if he fights back with a5, I play rook b1, and even though he opens the file for his rook can't go to the file. So, right? So the point is I just want to kick out his bishop with a3. And I thought he has to go a5. I mean, I didn't see anything else. The engine here says he can play f5, which is a move I vaguely saw, but never in a million years thought worked. I also thought, like, worst, it's a free pawn, but there's tactics. I thought, like, okay, I can just go here. I don't know. And then d6, his bishop gets trapped, so that's probably pretty bad. So he went a5. But again, the fact that he spent nearly 12 minutes playing the move that I thought he had to play in 5 seconds was a pretty big boost of confidence, because I was like, I think he doesn't like his position, because he clearly spent about 10 minutes trying not to play this move and trying to take advantage of my slow move. And for the record, I didn't have to play a3. I could have played, bishop d3 and played for the center, but I thought it made sense to play a3 because b4 is a very natural follow-up. a5, and now, again, I did not spend a huge... Oh, I did. Again, I spent a lot of time here because I actually wanted to play h4 to prevent knight h4. I thought h4 was a very interesting move, and I couldn't tell if it was good or bad. For example, I want to play h5. he could actually just completely ignore my pawn, like let my pawn go all the way. But I don't know. I mean, this looks kind of dangerous for black. And then I was thinking if he goes h5 himself, this is an improved version of the position for me because now he cannot play knight h4. So I just continue with my life, like f5. And again, the problem used to be he used to be able to go knight h4. So I calculated like knight e7, bishop g5, f6. I looked at a bunch of different stuff here, and I couldn't tell if I was happy or not that he was going to wrap the knight to e5. I don't know. I mean, it's such a wild position. So I spent a long time. I was like, do I play h4? Do I play f5? Do I just develop a piece? And ultimately I said, let me just develop a piece. He has to prove his position is not bad. Him. Look at his position. He has no pawns in the center at all. So if he now develops the knight in a natural way, like knight f6 or something, like knight f6, then f5 is completely crushing. Because the knight now has to go here, at which point I quickly develop my bishop. He castles, I play queen e2, and I was like, he doesn't have any moves. I'm just going to slowly keep improving my position. So he played knight h6, which is a move I had foreseen from a distance. And my plan originally on knight h6 was going to be, I'm going to go get rid of his bishop. And then I had some really nasty ideas. I was like, okay, let's say he plays queen e7. I'm going to take the bishop. He's going to take. I'm going to go here to try to play bishop e3. He's going to castle. I'm going to play bishop e3. And then I might even play... Oh, well, I guess this pawn is hanging, so I have to protect it. But, I mean, I'm going to go here. Like, I created this plan from far away. You know, why don't I just send my bishops pointing straight at his king and castle quick? Okay, I can, of course, probably castle short as well. Position is very complicated. But he surprised me with his move here. I actually thought he had to go bishop e7. I was quite ready for his position to get very bad. But he played here, which is a move that This move really spooked me. Yeah, I proceeded to spend quite a bit of time here again. And finally, I dipped quite low on time. You know, like here he started pulling away. I was now down 17 minutes. The reason this move surprised me is because I thought it just was a bad move from afar, because he lets me go e5, and then I was thinking I can play f5. This is winning for white, but he can take my knight. That's the problem. And then he will take my pawn. So I thought for a little bit. Oh, my wife woke up. I'm going to message my wife back. I'm telling her I'm recording my recap, but I love you. Sorry. Wife over, y'all. I'm very happy. This was a very nice game. So here I thought e5, bishop e7, and I spent a long time because I wanted to play queen e2, castle, and now f5 with the idea bishop f3, pawn f3, and I thought this was a winning position for white. The reason I did not do this is because after e5, bishop e7, queen e2, I thought, what if he just starts counterplay? And I didn't see a good solution. I didn't see a good solution. The good solution, apparently, according to the computer, is to not take back, but go here, which is not possible. A human doesn't think that way. I have dominant pawns in the center of the board. How am I just going to give them all away? So e5 and then trying to make things... I saw another beautiful variation. e5 here, castles, but he can still play d6. That's the problem. I thought he can play f5, bishop f3, rook f3. I was like, oh, bishop h6, sack the rook, bum, bum. I calculated gh6, f6, bishop f6, queen f5, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work because he goes here, and it's not checkmate. I actually saw this line during the game. So what did I do? I spent a bunch of time, and I was like, what would my coach do? What would my coach do in this position? What would Magnus do in this position? You know what they would do? They would play g3. And here I decided, and this was probably like a character development growth for me, the next like 5 to 7 moves. I decided I'm going to stop trying to do what I want, and I'm going to prevent everything he wants. I'm just going to improve my position. So he castled, and I quickly castled back, and now he went for a think. He can do many things here. In general, most of them revolve around this pawn break, because otherwise his knights are going to struggle to get into the game. So I thought he would consider f5. I was calculating a lot of stuff here. One line I really liked was knights. First of all, in this particular version, I even thought I had c5, with the idea being that his bishop and king are both hanging. But I also thought about knight c3 maybe, and just a very simple approach to trade his bishop and play this position, because his bishop is his best piece. Another idea that I had is just simply e5. Like, there's no need to complicate things. There were many ideas, maybe even rook e1. I thought he should probably start with queen e7. I thought it was the best move, because he would defend his bishop if it ever tried to go to c5. The move he played also I thought made sense. He played bishop c6, and again, he thought for 11 minutes too. It's not easy to pick a move. So bishop c6. And I thought here, and I thought, and the point is, first of all, I didn't understand what his idea was, because my knight is protected, right? I had no clue what the point was. Maybe he thought I wanted to move my queen. I also thought he had an idea here to play queen b8 and queen b7, or queen b8 and b5. I was like, is that what he's trying to do? I really couldn't figure it out. So all my candidate moves looked the same. Bring the knight back, develop a bishop, bring my rook, or develop the queen. Now, the reason I didn't move my rook is because I thought queen b8 is actually kind of a reasonable idea. And now I cannot play f5. Remember, I still have f5. The reason f5 doesn't work right now is because after f5, knight e5, like, I open up his king, but there's no attack. In fact, I surrendered all the dark squares. But I thought if the queen was on b8, in this position, I would be able to play f6. So, for example, I don't know, bishop d2, queen b8, I thought I could play f5 now. So knight e5, something like take, here, f6. And now this is checkmate. So there is a difference if the queen leaves. So I thought for a little bit here, and ultimately I settled on this move, which looks very counterintuitive, but I was very happy with, king g2. And the simple point of king g2 is that bishop c5 now is no longer a check, ever. So it never comes with a check. Now, it looks a bit scary to play king g2, because again, f5 looks reasonable, and the bishop is on the same diagonal. So I thought f5, right? I thought f5 is going to happen at some point. But then I'm going to play knight c3, and then bishop g2, bishop c5 is no longer a thing. So he spent some time, he played rook e8. I thought rook e8 was wrong. I think he needed to look for active play, because otherwise, what happened in the game is going to happen. So he played rook e8. I did not need to spend much time to go like, okay, the knight did its job. Some of you might be thinking, well, you moved the knight out there. Why are you moving it back? Right, I did. But remember do you remember why I moved the knight here? On it, to a4? It was to enable castling. So the knight did its job. And now it's time to return home, because the bishop also moved, and now it moved again. So he played bishop c5, bishop d6, and now back to c5. Here I played a move which I'm most proud of, which I am absolutely most proud of. Here, old Gotham and new Gotham, old Levy and new Levy, Levy 1.0 and Levy 2.0 were at war. We both have 25 minutes. I sense that the game is going in my favor, and I have a move here to set the board ablaze. And I am, at the end of the day, a dynamic player, an artist, if you will. I wanted to go f5. I looked at knight e5, rook e5. Let me get rid of this blockade. But actually, well, first of all, I didn't even, oops. But I also thought even this. I was like, I'm not even better here. Like, winning his rook means nothing because all my pawns block my pieces. So then I thought, f5, knight e5, what if we play knight e5, rook e5, and then we try to play f6? We play for f6. I didn't like this because suddenly the knight re-enters the game, utilizing the pin. I couldn't figure out if this was better for me or not. The engine thinks so, but it's kind of a mess. And coach always says, no funny business. And to be honest with you, for me, this is funny business. I don't care that it's +1. I could not tell if I was like running headfirst into a wall or not. And I have done that before, although when I was a child. Probably explains why I'm a chess player now and a YouTuber. Then I was like, what if I play like this? Take, and then f6. This looks really nice. And the next move is, for example, knight d5. I mean, the position looks very nice, but I didn't see the mate. I don't have mate. I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to play king h8. I don't have a checkmate. So I didn't do this. And I played probably one of my best moves of the tournament. and it's not very exceptional at all. I simply played h3. I spent 33% of my time, and I simply played h3. And I asked myself, what is he gonna do? Now that he moved his rook to e8, he can no longer play f5. Since he can't play f5, or d5, or b5, where are his pieces going? And here I decided, I'm gonna play fast. So something funny happened here. He played f6, 17 minutes on the clock. So we both have about 17, 18 minutes. The game is turning into rapid format. Here he went to the toilet. He got up, he left. I played this move instantly. I have no idea here whether I should play bishop d2, or queen c2, or rook e1, or king h2, or another really nice plan that I thought of, which is b3 to prevent a4 because I have b4, and then rook a2 comes along on the second rank. I also saw b3, right? b3 and bishop b2, right? Because it's kind of natural. I want to put my bishop on this diagonal. But I was like, but I'm losing control of e3, and okay, so of course, yeah, b3 is probably the best plan. Actually, the computer here finds b3, rook a2, king h2, and rook g2. I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm strong enough to find that. That's and then g4, g5. That's incredible. Completely incredible. What an idea. Really incredible. I mean, that's a fascinating idea. So I played bishop d2, and I decided, look, I'm going to play a few quick moves. I'm going to play queen c2, bishop d2. I'm going to move my rook to e1. So I'm just going to improve my position. He can't do anything. He can't do anything. He's going to start feeling the pressure, and he's going to try to start a way to create counterplay, right? So he comes back from the toilet. Quickly, by the way. I just play queen c2. Like, again, I'm improving the position, setting up the battery. I'm looking for what my next move is. A big question I had here was, do I force him to play a4? Or do I not force him to play a4? Ultimately, I decided if he wants to play a4, be my guest. I'm not going to touch that side of the board. Clearly, I'm stronger over here. So queen c2, now a4. So I finished my configuration. I played here, here, and here, and I barely spent any time. He thought, he played d6, and I came out with the second phase of the plan here, which is just simply knight on d5. And I thought if he quickly retreats his bishop here like this, I even came up with a plan here, g4. Oh my god, this is good according to the engine. Oh my god. Oh my god, g4, and if he tries to go here, I can actually play king g3 and h4. My plan was good. That's insane. Yeah, because he has no space. So I kind of have a carte blanche, you know? But he played rook b8, and this was where my confidence now started growing a lot, because rook b8, now it's 14-9. And so I just quickly, again, make an improving move, pointing more pieces at his king. Like, the last 5 moves here, really the last, like, 7. Bringing this back, h3, bishop d2, queen c2, rook e1, knight d5. And just position plays itself. And I realized right here, he's probably going to realize he can't play b5 because I take the pawn. So I think he's going to try to get rid of my knight and try to create counterplay against h3. And that's what he did. And here, all I remember thinking was, I made a video once on Garry Kasparov's brilliant calculations explained. If you haven't seen that video, go watch that video. And then write in the comments that I sent you from this video. It's a video where Kasparov does an interview where he analyzes one of his games against Karpov. And he basically says, I played this move, and I just knew it was a good move because I have all these pieces pointed at his king. I played e5. Now, the engine gives it an X because it's considered a miss. It's the second best move according to the engine. The best move according to the engine is this, which I did not see, but the point is that you do this first, and then you play e5. Which is kind of cool. That is kind of cool. I was really afraid to sack my bishop. I did it my way. I was worried if I sack my bishop and then I don't have an attack, I'm going to look like a huge idiot and I'm going to regret this for the rest of my life. So, like Kasparov said, open it up. My opponent has 6 minutes to figure this out. It has to be winning. So the point is, I'm always threatening the knight. I'm always threatening the pawn behind it. So I just very quickly said, take, take, take. Like, let's say, take, take, I don't know, some queen g6. I think I have something even better. I think I can maybe take on g6 first. Okay, let's say take, take. Yeah, maybe I have h4, like for example. h4, h5. I mean, position is so difficult to defend here with black. Like c6, maybe h5. I don't know. But yes, bishop f6 first would have been a bit better. But he went here. And this is basically a gamble. I mean, he is essentially gambling that I'm going to panic here. And I did. Something really embarrassing here happened, actually. So I can take on f6. I can go here. This is something I don't need to play. At the end of the day, he's going to take this, and he has enough time to take my rook. But I went here because I thought, like, I'm going to get my queen in to attack his king. My bishop is pointed in this direction. Knight e7 is always possible. Pawn takes f6. He played bishop h3. And here I did one of the most embarrassing things of my life. I'm still dying inside a little bit. I was obviously a little bit nervous. I mean, you're always a little bit nervous when you have 11 versus 6. Also, like, you're beating a strong player. I was a little nervous, but I was not nervous enough to do something this idiotic. If you watch the live stream, you might see, at this point, I go to write his move down. I take my pen, and I take my pen too quickly. So I launch it in the air. As I try to catch it, I slap it across the board. Like, I flipped it this way, and then I tried to catch it and slapped it onto the board. And what I did is I knocked over these two pawns. So this was gone, and this was gone. And again, it was my move, right? It was my move. Or this might have happened here. Like, basically, he took my bishop, and then all this happened. I didn't remember where the pawns were. Like, I was like so... I couldn't believe what I had just done. I mean, I threw the pen in the air, and then I slapped it onto the board. I was like, what am I doing? I was a little bit nervous, but not nervous to the point that I should have done that. It was just a complete motor skill failure. And oh my God, I was so embarrassed. So here I paused. I centered myself. And I just need to find the best way into the position. And I found it, and it was knight takes f6. There are multiple ways, but I saw this from a distance. I thought his most prudent way of defending himself was to play king f8 here, but I was just going to take his rook probably. And he's just losing. I mean, he has to take my rook. I take back, and I still have the attack. So he took queen g6, king f8. And now I had 9 minutes to figure it out. And I actually really wanted to play knight g5. I thought knight g5 was also winning. But there are just too many variations here, and I was really scared I would miscalculate something, so I played the very simple pawn takes f6. And queen g7 is mate. So rook e1 is possible, but if he plays, or let's say rook e6, here I was going to play, I don't know, knight g5, queen g7, something. But the game ends in a very nice way. He plays queen g4, and I have queen g7 check. It's not mate. But the point is, if takes, this is a check, then I take his bishop, then I have 2 extra pawns, and here he resigned. And with this, I finished the tournament with 6 out of 9, 4 wins, all with white, by the way. I did not win a single game with black. I won 4 games with white and 1 draw. Very nice, actually. I gained no points. I gained no rating. Before this game, I was down 6.6, and for this game, I gained 6.8. But I learned a lot, and that's not being sarcastic. I think there was a lot of very interesting openings in this tournament to learn from. I learned a lot about traveling to a different tournament, playing location, site, weather, open tournament versus closed tournament. A lot. I mean, really a lot. And this made it all worth it. And the craziest part is I have now beaten 3 Grandmasters since returning to Road to GM. I beat Tomas Sosa. I beat Lelis Martinez from Cuba. I beat Alberto David. I drew Pepe Cuenca, and I drew Maxim Novik. 5 games versus GMs, 3 wins and 2 draws. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. I love reading comments psychoanalyzing me. I don't have the mental strength. I don't have this. I don't have that. Work on yourselves instead of hating in my comment section or Hikaru's comment section or my live stream comment section or any comment section. Work on yourselves. I proved to myself, I got back in the car after this game and I screamed because I know I can do it. I know I can do it. And this proved to me that I could do it. Against all odds, this tournament was going terribly. Not terribly, but it was not going well. And I end with such a win. I'm so happy. Thank you to those of you that do support. I mean, I really mean it, whether you comment, whether you just watch all of these videos. I have people come up to me in person who might have never written a comment, but they say such nice things. I got them into chess. They play chess because of me. They got their girlfriend or spouse into chess. They play with their dad or mom or sister or brother, or it's very special. And the fans here have been very special and very nice, and I will absolutely return to Italy for a fan event. The next chess tournament is August 28th, which is in 2 weeks. I didn't lose any rating here, and I managed to play some very interesting chess. Beaten 3 Grandmasters since returning to this journey. In 2021 and 2022, I never beat a Grandmaster on this channel. And now I've beaten 3. And I have no plans of stopping anytime soon. 3 tournaments down. See you all back for Road to GM content as regularly scheduled programming back at home. Next tournament, like I said, August 28th. Sale ends tonight if you want to check out the courses. And shout out to Coach, man. I mean, seriously, Artur's Nixons, that man has left a mark on my chess, and also he's a great commentator. He did 35 to 40 hours of commentary for this event. I hear you guys have been having a blast. He's got courses online. I hope he doesn't take too many private students more because I don't want him preparing, y'all versus me. But, yeah, that's all. Get out of here.